It is a good day, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, every buy low running back we talk about, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. Feel like we've been smashing these buy low videos as of late. Also, my voice feels so much better. Oh my God, that's a lot better. And also, we have a new sponsor on this video. Game Time sponsoring the video here. Literally, honestly, my favorite app that I've seen in a very long time. If you're wanting to go to an NFL game, wanting to go to a concert, wanting to go to anything really, you can download this app, Game Time, and right before the game, they'll have tickets that are damn near half off. I mean, they'll have really good deals on there for people that are trying to sell their tickets right before the game. Super easy to use with just an app. You can download the app with the description in this video. And when you use promo code FLOCK, when you make your first purchase of $150 or more, you will get $20 off those tickets. So thank you, Game Time, for sponsoring this video. Honestly, very good app. I'm very excited to go through and use it myself. But if you want to get those tickets to an NFL game, just go download the link in the description of this video. I'll also pin it in the comment section. But that should be it. Make sure you go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and leave a comment with any questions you may have. I'm going to be excited to go through and answer as many of your questions as I possibly can. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into our first running back. Super brief, Jonathan Taylor. Okay, the only reason I'm bringing him up is I live stream every single day. I answer maybe 1,000 or more fantasy football questions every few days on this channel. So I have a good idea of what some casual drafters are doing. And in some casual leagues right now, people are selling Jonathan Taylor just how people were panicking about Justin Jefferson about a month ago. Just how people were panicking on Jamar Chase for a few weeks. Guys, these stud players, you don't sell them. You hold them. You buy them when you can. If you can get a 15% discount on Jonathan Taylor right now, that would be great. I mean, Deon Jackson just came through and almost dropped 30 freaking points. If Deon Jackson is dropping almost 30 points in Indianapolis this past week, I think Jonathan Taylor is probably going to do about the same thing. And if you are looking at JT, the man practiced last week. He got in limited practices on Thursday and Friday. So honestly, I think we probably get Jonathan Taylor back relatively soon. I think he's probably back this week, and hell, I'll be excited to go through and get a 10% discount on him. Obviously, you're not going to go offer, freaking J.K. Dobbins for Jonathan Taylor. You're going to have to pay up, but if you can go trade someone like Joe Mixon for him, please, for the love of God, do it. Now, going over to our next running back, another stud coming back from injury, Deandre Swift. With Deandre Swift, love what the Detroit Lions did with this injury situation. Said, okay, well, you're dealing with the shoulder. Instead of going through and rushing you out there the week before our bye, hey, man, you don't need to practice. You don't need to prepare for a game. Let's give you almost a month off. We have the bye week in week 6. He didn't practice at all in week 5. Didn't practice at all in week 4. So with Deandre Swift, I know a lot of people are maybe disrespecting the man. The last game that he played, he was in and out of the game the entire time. So I know if you're looking at the raw points per game compared to Deandre Swift and Jamal Williams, a lot of people are going to view Deandre Swift in too negative of a light, if you ask me. Or I think Swift comes back. I think that he is heavily involved as a pass catcher. I think that he does get a decent amount of work inside the red zone. It's an elite offensive line in Detroit. Even if people got a little too excited about the offense at the beginning part of the year, still think it will be a good offensive unit. And Deandre Swift is a great running back that should be back this week. Now going over to someone that is not going to be back until week 9. Let's go and look at Elijah Mitchell. Now with Elijah Mitchell, this is our first time including him on a buy low running back video. With Mitchell, didn't love him coming into the season because I thought there was a lot of uncertainty here. We were looking at the fact that this team went and drafted Tyrion Davis-Price in the 3rd round, that this team's going to have Trey Lance as a starting quarterback who's going to vulture rushing touchdowns, that Deebo Samuel's heavily involved as a rusher. So there were a lot of things that scared me away from Elijah Mitchell. Well, now his value is literally 10% of what it was in fantasy football drafts because the knee injury, of course, because the sprained MCL. And with Elijah Mitchell, you're not getting him back this week. The initial report was saying he is not going to miss the entire season. Probably going to miss about 8 weeks from the initial injury that was suffered week 1. Now, I'm no mathematician, but if we go through and do some quick napkin math here, looks like Elijah Mitchell may be coming back weeks 9 or 10. So we are far enough away right now where nobody's really thinking about the return of Elijah Mitchell. But at the same time, it will slowly but surely be something that people begin to talk about over the coming weeks. We saw that now that Trey Lance is out for the year. I mean, those rushing touchdowns probably aren't going to be vultured. At the same time, Deebo Samuel isn't stealing as many carries, as many touches at the goal line as he did a year ago. On top of this, while Jeff Wilson has looked good at times, the 49ers have showed no faith at all in Jeff Wilson Jr. to just be the guy they're looking to every single down. I mean, if they're involving Tevin Coleman over the past few weeks, really tells you what they think of Jeff Wilson Jr. So I would look to just send out a feeler, maybe go through. And if you have someone like Gabriel Davis and you're going to go try to sell him high for one of those wide receivers that will be on our buy low video, whether that's Jalen Waddle, whether that's T. Higgins, maybe Elijah Mitchell is just someone we can throw in on the back end of that deal with people thinking, oh, okay, well, who knows if we even get Elijah Mitchell back. But now going over to our next guy, someone that was on a sell high video for us right after week 1 when the man had multiple touchdowns and people thought he was a low in running back 1. Kareem Hunt, he was a clear sell high at the beginning of the season when the touchdown production was unsustainable. But Kareem Hunt, this is about like the 3rd or 4th video in a row that we've had him on a buy low point. Now, I will say, yes, if we look at the game log, this was a horrendous week from Kareem Hunt. That was an extreme outlier compared to what you're used to. Kareem Hunt this week only had 4 carries for 12 rushing yards, and Kareem Hunt at the same time had a whopping 1 target for 0 receptions and 0 receiving. It was laughably bad. It was straight up garbage from Kareem Hunt. But there are a couple different things that are playing in here. A, you were going up against the New England Patriots. Going up against New England, this is a spot where, you probably should be avoiding 99% of players in that offense. B, at the same time, this game was a blowout, so Dearness Johnson actually got involved. I think some people are going to view Dearness Johnson getting involved saying, oh, maybe this is a reason to go through and move on from Kareem Hunt. I think it was just the game environment. And C, the third thing, Deshaun Watson is about to be back on the radar. Now, of course, you're not going to have Deshaun Watson back until week 12. It's week 7, but we've crossed the halfway mark. We are now closer to Deshaun Watson returning than we are to week 1. And when Deshaun Watson does come in, I'm assuming that this Cleveland Browns offense is not going to be one that continues to go through and tries to run the ball every single down as they do with Jacoby Brissett. I would assume that this offense would be a little bit more aggressive as a passing unit. And if we are looking at the passing down running back here, that guy still is Kareem Hunt. If we remove this past week, Kareem Hunt clearly has been the guy that's been worked as a receiver. This week it was horrendous in the box score, but he still ran more routes than Nick Chubb. He still, played 30 snaps compared to Nick Chubb at 31. Don't worry about Dearness Johnson. Dearness Johnson was just there at the very end of the game. It was a complete blowout. Don't worry about that at all. I think Kareem Hunt's still a low-end running back 2, and if something were to occur to Nick Chubb, he goes from being a low-end running back 2 in fantasy to a low-end running back 1, maybe even high-end running back 1, especially when you get Watson in. But going over and looking at our next guy, Travis Etienne. Y'all know Etienne was on a buy low video for us last week. You better believe we are going to have our guy here again as the man looked pretty damn good. No, he did not go through and win you your week. No, that did not happen. Travis Etienne, 86 rushing yards, 22 receiving yards, no touchdowns. Honestly, I expected Jacksonville to be a little bit better than they were. But this is the 3rd straight week that Travis Etienne has had more rushing yards than James Robinson. And we said this when we were talking about James Robinson in the panicking video. 100%, this is not everything. This is not something we should be saying, okay, this proves that Etienne is a way better running back. You have to look at yards per carry. You have to look at yards per reception with a grain of salt. Because, of course, if someone like Etienne is going to get in there on obvious passing down scenarios, he's going to be going up against lighter boxes. You're going to have both safeties back where there'll be more space for Travis Etienne to run in general. So Etienne has benefited from the defensive fronts he's been able to run against. But at the same time, with Travis Etienne, I mean, we can't point out 5.6 yards per carry compared to James Robinson at 4.2. 11.2 yards per reception compared to James Robinson at 5.1. He looks like the better running back when he is on the field. The man's only played 6 games so far in his NFL career. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th week of us having him as a buy low running back. We're going to continue to put him here until he is that locked and loaded low end running back 1, just like we did with Breece Hall. But going over to our next guy, Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, I mean, we had him on a buy low video last week, and I did not like drafting him coming into this season. I mean, y'all know I wasn't a big Ezekiel Elliott guy. We were talking about the fact that his yards per game, his rushing yards per game, had decreased every single season since his rookie year, that Tony Pollard was the much more efficient running back. We were saying if you were drafting Ezekiel Elliott in the top 3 rounds, you were probably the sucker in your draft. Like, I was not a big Zeke guy, but over there in those underdog drafts, we were getting Ezekiel Elliott past pick 100. During the season, people have completely changed their perception of Ezekiel Elliott, where now, if anything, I think if you are playing in a non-PPR format, of course, you have to know where you're targeting these guys. Someone like Travis Etienne, that's going to be your buy low running back in a full PPR league. Ezekiel Elliott will be your buy low running back in a non-PPR league. But if you're in that non-PPR format, Zeke has been pretty damn good from a fantasy football standpoint. Even if he looks bad from a real life standpoint, I mean, with Ezekiel Elliott, 81 rushing yards this past week, 78 the week before that, 49, 73, 53, 52. He has been extremely, and I repeat, he has been extremely consistent. Quick side note for everybody on Underdog Fantasy that goes through and checks out those player props with us. I really like the Ezekiel Elliott over under 59.5 rushing yards this week, going up against the Detroit Lions. Hell, he's like averaging this. There's an outside chance that Dak Prescott gets back. Go smash the Ezekiel Elliott over under 59.5 rushing yards. And of course, if you want to sign up for Underdog Fantasy, find the link in the description. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Available in damn near every state. But if we're looking at Ezekiel Elliott, it doesn't matter that Tony Pollard looks better. It doesn't matter that Pollard is more efficient on a per touch basis. Yet again, this past week, despite the Dallas Cowboys trailing the Philadelphia Eagles pretty much the entirety of the game, Ezekiel Elliott, 41 snaps. Tony Pollard, 27. Ezekiel Elliott even running more routes. Ezekiel Elliott with more carries. It just has gotten to a point where it has been too skewed, where people are too excited about Tony Pollard. They're disrespecting Ezekiel Elliott too much. And like I said, I was disrespecting the man coming into the season at a significantly higher price point. But I think he's a locked and loaded low-end running back too. And in a non-PPR format, I think when we get Dak Prescott back in, hell, there'll be some touchdown upside in this offense. But going over to our next guy, James Goddard. With James Goddard, I do have to give an update because y'all know a couple weeks back, we said, wait a while until DeAndre Hopkins is coming back to Arizona. And when Hopkins is coming back to Arizona, we are really going to want to go through buy low on James Conner because this offense will be significantly better. And honestly, the James Conner usage is everything you could ask for. He was getting involved on 3rd downs. He was looking like a 3-down running back. The only issue is that Arizona Cardinals offense was so damn bad with no DeAndre Hopkins, and that we had historically seen that Kyler Murray is a much better quarterback with DeAndre Hopkins in this offense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give an update. It is not the time just yet to be going through and trading for James Conner. I think there's a realistic shot that James Conner misses yet again. And even though DeAndre Hopkins is coming back to Arizona this week, where we are initially projecting the Arizona Cardinals offense to get much better, yada, yada, yada. Hollywood Brown's now out. So you replace Hollywood Brown with DeAndre Hopkins. Call it a lateral move. Call it whatever the hell you want to at this point of DeAndre Hopkins' career. I think that you probably have continued struggles from Cliff Kingsbury, from Kyler Murray in this Arizona Cardinals offense. Sounds like the injury with Hollywood Brown isn't as serious as initially reported. Sounds like you will get Hollywood Brown coming back later in the season. So James Conner is still someone that I want on our watch list. James Conner is still someone that I want to revisit the price point in a few weeks. But as it stands this second, I don't know if we can go for him right this second. But Damien Harris coming out with our next buy low point. I mean, with Damien Harris, very similar to what we said with Ezekiel Elliott. I hated Damien Harris coming into the season. We preferred Ramondre Stevenson because Ramondre Stevenson could actually catch the football, where Damien Harris has never done this. And with Damien Harris, very similar to Ezekiel Elliott, you're only going to be buying him in that non-PPR league. But now everybody kind of realizes, oh crap, Ramondre Stevenson is the guy that you want in New England. With Damien Harris missing, Ramondre Stevenson goes through. He dominates in New England with 60 out of 70 snaps. Ramondre Stevenson looked phenomenal as well. In the initial reports with this Damien Harris injury, made it sound like Ramondre Stevenson was going to have this runway to be the feature down starting running back in New England for a very, very long time. But I think the initial reports maybe lied to us, because if we go through and if you look at the injury reports for Damien Harris was practicing this past week. Damien Harris got in multiple, and I repeat, multiple practices this past week, where maybe there's that outside chance now that this week Damien Harris continues to work himself back in, that Damien Harris goes back to being the first and second down running back in New England as early as week 7. If it's not week 7, maybe it's week 8. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of Damien Harris coming into the season. Still not a massive fan of him now, but if you are playing in a non-PPR format, he does have touchdown upside, and he is essentially free. He is essentially free, and that's why he's going to be on our buy low video. I mean, I can dislike a player at the very beginning of the season, and then when his price point is 10% of what it once was, even though he kind of looks like the same guy, I can be all about going and grabbing him. But I think that should be it. Of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you want to check out any of these cool player props, go to the link in the description. Go check out Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for a 100% deposit match. Also, thank you Game Time sponsoring this video. Definitely the place to get your NFL tickets this season if you want to go right before the game and get them at a steep discount. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.